What's going on, you guys? My name is Kyle Solker, and today we're going to be going over my E36 M3 interior refresh project. Now, this car had one of the most rare interiors on the E36 M3, and that is the Vader interior with magma colored seats. Now, between that and the exterior combination being fern green, this car was very, very rare. In comparison to other E36 M3s out there, and just in consideration of how many were built. So this particular coupe I bought from the state of Washington, which is actually great, aside from the cost of shipping. Now I live in Chicago, so finding a car like this that's nearly or over 20 years old at this point, 1999 this car was, I believe. So say about 21 years old. The thing was with this thing is that it had no rust, which is great. Like I was saying about Washington, they don't use salt up there, they use sand or whatever. So there's no rust from, like what you'd get in Chicago, which I love. The problem with the car was that it was a little bit weathered. It had a little bit of paint on it from my understanding, but overall the car was a good deal. And I was buying it from somebody who decided that they were gonna start snowboarding full time or just live their life. So they didn't need a car anymore, and I definitely wanted it. So it worked out perfectly. I found it on Craigslist and pretty much bought it sight unseen. I didn't see it. I just got it shipped, paid them up, and everything was good to go. So with that being said, guys, the number one thing I wanted to do to this particular car was to restore the interior. Now, I've never done this on leather before at this point in time. If you watch my 911, 1980 911 rebuild, you'll kind of see that car was restored, but I didn't actually re-dye the leather or anything like that. It was just so dirty essentially and needed to be brought back. But this I was able to completely pull the interior out of. That was number one. So I got the car and I pulled the interior out of it, and I started working on the seats. Now, if you don't know, if you're not familiar with the company called Leatherique, it's actually a great company. They make an awesome product of a bunch of leather rejuvenation and reconditioning products. So I started off by using step by step that guide of essentially sanding down the seats, getting them to their bare whatever you want to call it, nature, and then rejuvenating everything, putting oils and stuff like that in it. It's the rejuvenation oil that comes with the kit. And started getting the leather looking back to normal, and then I actually had to physically spray the seats. I taped up everything, and I physically sprayed the seats down with this magma color, multiple coats, so it stayed, and they actually ended up looking really, really good in comparison to how they looked before. Obviously, a little bit less dark because I think these are just aged more. The seats prior, obviously, they were original, so by default, they're gonna get a little darker and maybe colors are off, but overall it looked good. They matched the back seats well enough to where it looked nice, and definitely was an upgrade from how it was before that. So looking at the outside of the car, it was a great condition overall. Like I said, no rust, which is great. So those quarter panels were clean, and the underneath was spectacular. I ended up doing some general maintenance to it, overhauling the whole front end, doing all new suspension, control arm bushings. It's kind of a thing you want to do on the E36 M3. Of course, detailed it up really nicely. It had a Dynon intake, which was really cool, carbon fiber. For back then, I feel like that was very out of the ordinary. And yeah, it had the DS2 wheels, which look pretty good, look very original. Of course, like every car I buy, I put a ZHP shift knob on it, which is the weighted 6 or 5 speed in this case knob. That looks fantastic, and it really improves drivability. So of course you'll see pictures, the car had manual seats, which is nice for lightness. Still had the matching beige floor mats, which I would probably swap out with a black one just for usability reasons, but they're original, they were cool, and there's no need to buy new ones if I didn't have to. There's a picture of my E30, my E92 328, which is a video floating around on this channel, and then the E36 M3 as well. Something to note here, if you're buying an E36 M3, you'll notice a difference in packages. There's a Lux package, which has the front grille with slots in it, rather than kind of like the mesh, the plastic mesh in the front, and it doesn't have, the Lux package doesn't have that front lip. This obviously had this, sport package, whatever you want to call it. So it had the Vaders, which are the better seats that have a lot of bolstering, and then it also had the front lip and the mesh in the grille. So something to look out for if you're looking at an E36 M3. You might want to know that. But yeah, in general, this car was super stock. It looked really nice after, the seats were re-dyed. I had a lot of good paperwork for it. So overall, it was solid. There's a picture I'll show you guys here. I used to always take, sitting on my M3s, I went through multiple cars, like, tens and tens of cars. So I always took a picture on the trunk of them So that's what that was. Here's another picture you'll see of my E46 I had at the time, and then an E46 I had at the time as well. And then, yeah, a couple more pictures of the green car. I took a little bit to sell because it kind of, you know, takes the right person to want, you know, specific, you know, rare car. You know, it did have a little bit higher mileage, but it was a really nice car. It was clean, it was rust free, had a clean title, no serious accidents or, you know, metal work. And yeah, it's just really hard to find an example like this. So, you know, me doing a couple things to refresh the car. I think I did the cooling system in this car as well. So doing some, you know, general stuff to bring it up to date, make it nice, you know, make the seats look a little bit nicer, and, you know, make it just overall a better car is kind of, you know, my forte. If you watch any of my other rebuild videos, or any of the, you know, bringing cars back to life, that's, you kind of understand that's where I'm at, you know, not going overkill. I didn't want to repaint the whole car. I didn't want to redo the whole interior with brand new leather. I just doing the things that make the car marginally nicer and kind of, you know, fulfilling what I always say is like the diminishing law of return. Don't exceed that. Do everything you need to make the car just that much better, to kind of enjoy it, you know, maybe like a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. So with that being said, guys, it was a great car and I'm really happy to have owned it. I'm not sure where it is now. I know it's been floating around a little bit. So if you see the car, feel free to throw it in the link in the description if it's for sale or something. But yeah, overall, it's a great car if you're looking to buy one yourself. And I just want to thank you guys once again for watching. As always, like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't. Subscribing would mean the absolute world to me. You can follow me on Instagram for all the behind the scenes of these cars and other ones like it at @SULKR_media. And yeah, guys, as always, once again, like I just said, thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.